Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Today is the 20th of August, 2014. We have a sun sign in Leo. For just a few more days, we could look over here to Friday. And we could see on Friday it goes to the next sign. This is the sun sign, and it goes to the next one. And the next one after Leo is Virgo. Okay, so we're wrapping up Leo. We've got today, tomorrow, and that's it. 2 more days of fire. 2 more days of this creative energy that comes from the Leo. Now, the moon sign today is making a transition as well. It's just made a transition from Gemini into Cancer. So we're now, whenever you make a transition, remember you're always coming from one expression, one idea, and just because you change to the next one doesn't mean it's an instantaneous change. There's still that, residual effect that takes place. So we've ended the communication, and now we've moved from that communication, the words and the action, the air, into the water. And so now we're flowing. And so we're flowing, and our flow is based on the words and the actions that came before us. So as we continue to flow now, our subconscious mind is going to be expressing and feeling more of the feelings that are out there in the world. That could be a good thing, depending on what we're feeling. So we look and we see that we have Neptune right here. Looks like the trident is in a trine, which is a good positive vibe of energy between Cancer and Neptune. Neptune says take another perspective, look at things deeper. Neptune represents water. Cancer is a water sign, so there's very good harmony going on right there with this energy. Watery energy and a good triangle trine with each other. And then later this evening, just before midnight, Mercury and the moon are going to have a nice good aspect. So communications that take place in that watery feeling world, perhaps in the dream world. So some good communications in our dream states. All right. Numerology for today is number 8. 8 is representative of Leo. Strength, here's how we get 8. 8 plus 20 plus 2014. That is a 17. 1 plus 7 equals an 8. So 8 again is Leo strength. We've been dealing with that quite a bit. Let's go over and look at where we're at today. We've got our moon sun sign for a couple more days. Our moon sign is now over here at Cancer, and the numerology right here, number 8. So we've just kind of been hanging in the same basic place, same basic energies. Okay, we could see that we've had to be aware of the right useness of our energy, because it's balancing out the things that are merciful versus the things that are severe. Our emotions and our mind, we have to balance those out. All right, let's take a look today at in the highlights of the tarot. Let's look at number 8, since we're wrapping up Leo strength. Let's take one more look at this here while we're still dealing with this. That is, of course, if it wishes to. There we go. So, Leo is strength. Leo is number 8. Leo, this card is Leo, the sun sign. So, remember around here it says this is very profound. Esoteric significance represents the great cosmic force which Madame Blavatsky calls a fohat. This force in human organism is called Kundalini, or the serpent power. There are any number of systems which attempt to tell unwary students how to awaken the sleeping Kundalini. They are too often successful, and the results of the misguided efforts are human wrecks and derelicts, people driven to madness and obsession for the fact that the Kundalini is a real force and is as powerful in destruction as it is in integration. Every person automatically receives the instruction he needs to awaken the Kundalini when the time comes for that awakening. In the meantime, listen to no one who tells you that they can help you unfold powers by setting the serpent force in action. Such practice is most dangerous. The proper way to prepare yourself for the time when you can do such things safely is to learn how to control your body, your mind, and your emotions. When you have done this, you will know what your next step is to be. Kundalini is not a force to be feared. You really use it every day of your life, but you use it naturally and without giving it conscious attention. For even in its latent state, it is the force behind your activities. It is automatically controlled by subconsciousness. Subconsciousness is the woman in Key 8, and she has the line in complete control. Because tarot works by giving suggestion to the subconsciousness, it works automatically towards the expansion of consciousness that makes for an ever greater control over continually increasing powers of personality. All right. Hebrew letter Teth represents serpent power. All right, it's very important. We all have within ourselves this great strength, this energy that is available to us. And we have lots of different ways that we can learn to tap into it. Sometimes the energy becomes more intense, sometimes not so much. And it changes. And we, over the course of our lifetime, are given a little bit more, depending on what we can handle. Sometimes we get big doses, sometimes we get little doses. So this is very important. We're learning how to control our energy. And by learning how to control our energy, we're learning how to deal and work in the world more efficiently. As we're aware, in the world these days, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of different versions of truth. And so we can very easily get caught up in all of these, mentally, emotionally, physically. So the idea is to learn how to control our energy. The more that we can be in control of our mind, of our emotions, of our body, the more that we can put all these things together and we can be in the midst of it, participating in the process but not being pushed around, life becomes a different process for us. So we learn how to step in and out of the things that we need to. We learn how to avoid the pitfalls because we've gotten wiser. And ideally, that would be the idea. That is, any creature would evolve, that it gets wiser and adapts and learns how to survive. And survivability seems to be dependent upon one's ability to use their own energy in a wise way. All right, so strength, that inner strength, very important. Our current moon phase is we're almost down to a new moon, 21% of the way to go. We can see when our new moon will be right here on the 25th. So coming up next week. So we've got a bunch of things wrapping up. This energy, when the moon is in its phases, when it's charging up, when it's going from a new moon to a full moon, you can feel your energy is like building up, it's being charged to that full moon. And then from the full moon down, the energy is dissipating. So we have our energy is dissipating, moving towards that new moon, a new beginning. We have our sun sign is getting ready to make a change, going from fire to water, or fire to earth. We've got moon sign that just made a change from air now to water. Lots of changes. And so everything's always moving every day. It doesn't just sit still. So we need to be adaptable. We need to be able to go with the flow, move with the flow. Okay, we look at today. Rome, the deep sky sights just above the Sagittarius teapot pattern. With Sue French's Deep Sky Wonders guided tour into August Sky and Telescope, page 56. Alright, well, what we've got here, if you click on this link, is just information for you to check out. Alright, let's move from here onto the Mayan Oracle. Today's an 8-tone day. 8 tones are called the galactic tones of integrity. Here's the 8th position on this wave spell or theme of the hand, which is about accomplishment. Today is the timelessness of accomplishment. The timelessness, think about that. We often want to create things, and we set forth a timing, thinking things have to be done at a certain timing, in a certain way that we want them. But we step back when we look at the timelessness of things. We look at the timing of life when we realize that perhaps there's a bigger picture that we need to get in tune with. And so we learn and understand about timelessness and how it really plays a part, and helps us to learn the lessons of patience as well. So today is the wizard, timelessness, guided by the mirror, endlessness. Timelessness and endlessness, just to show you that life goes on, is limitless. So we have the integrity of timelessness. The phrase for today is, I harmonize in order to enchant modeling receptivity. I seal the output of timelessness with the galactic tone of integrity. I am guided by the power of endlessness. And over at space weather, our solar wind is 349.6 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is 2, but as we could see, we've got some activity all the way up to a 6. Now this is a scale that only goes up to 9, so having a storm that is at the level of 6, it's a pretty good storm. It's an energetic storm. We're not going to necessarily see it and experience it the way we might experience a physical storm, but we do want to pay attention to see how the environment is behaving to this sort of energy field, and how it will manifest itself is something that we'll see, usually in the effect of electromagnetic signals, television, radio, issues, computer things here and there. Things that are electrical related seem to be affected. No coronal holes that we could really see facing our direction at this point in time. X-class flare 1, M-class 10, and geomagnetic storm activity is down as well. So with everything down so well, the question is, where is this storm coming from? Alright. I guess this was the CME here that just hit. A moderate G-class CME erupted on the 19th. Okay. Alright, then we're going to go over to our Jewish calendar. And today is 24 Av. The daily thought for 24 Av is ignoring faults. Until after the final Redeemer arrives, there was no person on earth without some fault. Where this person falls on one chord, another falls elsewhere. We don't appreciate someone else prying into our own faults and underlining each one with a red pencil, so we know it is not right to do the same with another. This is the way of all people, should relate to one another, but especially when it comes to your spouse and the members of your own family. So in other words, don't be so hard on everybody. Alright, there you go. That gets us started for today, energetically, of what we're dealing with. I'm going to jump away now because UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alright, Dirk. Thank you very much. First story comes to us here from Kaliningrad, Russia. In a seaport city and the administrative center of Kaliningrad Oblast, the Russian enclave between Poland and Lithuania, on the Baltic Sea. The territory borders on NATO and European Union members Poland and Lithuania, and is geographically separated from the rest of Russia. You can see this image right there. Nice good shot, coming in very clear. So what we have is either, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these big round lights. Question is, are they all attached to the same object, or are they individual? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, they look kind of, well, some of them look like they could be part of one object. Other of them look to be separate. Maybe a couple objects there. Alright, going from Russia, Alberta, Canada, 16th. Here we have object right there just hanging out. 3 minutes 35 seconds is the length of this video. There's our object, just same place. Okay. Moving from Canada, we go back up to the space station. Plankton has been found living in space on the ISS solar panels. As I have said many times before, life exists in space. Animals, like in our oceans, can adapt through mutations and grow, live, and eat in space. An example of living creatures in space is during the NASA tether incident, which was filmed in infrared video. It caught many living creatures of mass proportions, one of which broke the many miles of tether in orbit. Traces of plankton and other microorganisms have been found living on the exterior of the International Space Station, according to Russian space officials. They claim the plankton were not carried there at launch, but are thought to have been blown there by air currents on Earth. Incredibly, the tiny organisms were found to be able to survive in the vacuum of space, despite the freezing temperatures, lack of oxygen, and cosmic radiation. Okay, very interesting. Here we just have some footage of what's going on. Is this the giant tether? I believe this is the giant tether. There we go. Alright, this is, yeah. Alright, so check it out. Very interesting indeed that something that would normally live in the ocean is found up there. No surprise here, but I'm sure many are surprised. Here we Okay, let's see here. We have a glowing UFO over volcano makes a hole in the cloud in Mexico. This is our favorite volcano, Popocatépetl. Lots of interesting things going on there. I was looking through the archive of the Popocatépetl volcano and found a glowing object halfway down from the volcano's mouth. There's an object is made of 2 to 3 large orange orbs. Also, there is a hole in the cloud where it came from and white streaks leading to the UFO. If you read the O'Hare Airport investigation by MUFON, you'll learn how many eyewitnesses describe the UFO shooting upward through the clouds, cutting a hole in it. This is also what we see here. Alright, and here you have Scott giving a nice thorough description of what he experienced here. Okay, there's the hole in the clouds and the UFO. Alright, links available, check it out. Moving on from there, alien chasers spot alien moon base. Conspiracy theory about the existence of extraterrestrial life on the moon won't go away, as many still believe government agencies are hiding the truth. A keen UFO spotter claims that the latest discovery of a dark shape on the Google Moon is another evidence on the existence of an alien base on the moon. Google Moon is a software that allows anyone to explore the moon through a photographic map of the moon's equatorial region. Avid UFO enthusiast Scott Waring posted footage online showing a dark shape in which he considers a pretty amazing find. He believes it is an alien moon base, which can be found in the coordinates, and they're right here, 19 degrees, 43 minutes, and so on. Anyway, Warren pointed out the 8 right angles on the backside alone. He also speculated there's a big cavity underneath the structure and walled area because of the darkness around the edges. Earlier in 2014, the video apparently showing another lunar object sparked speculation on the existence of extraterrestrial life on the moon. The video reportedly shows a capture of a wedge-shaped craft with bright lights and V formation inside a little crater on the far side. The discovery was made possible using Google Moon. Alright, more of the article. Got a bit of a video here. It just kind of shows you examples of the moon and Google Moon and how people are using it. This is Scott C. Waring again. So check it out. See what he has to say on this. We're going to move from the moon over. Here's a list of extraterrestrials, 32 of them actually. It says multi-generational contactee presents 32 ET species. So it says in an Exopolitics TV interview with Alfred Lambremo Orbre, multi-generational ET contactee Ray Holzelandich, whose family ET contacts been his grandfather fathered himself, revealed drawings of 32 species of mainly hyperdimensional ETs that have visited him, each bringing a consistent message of a coming positive transformation of human consciousness. He also indicated that he was visited and briefed on a regular basis by 4 ETs he calls the Fabulous Four. So here's a link right here. You can download it. You can get the PDF. Here's the PDF link here. I wanted to show you his 32 races. There's number 1 right there. Alright. The one-eyed people. This is real friendly. 4th dimension. 7 feet tall. She's called the Star Woman. Dark or blonde hair, pale skin. Monk people. 6 to 7 feet tall. 15th dimension. Blue warriors. This is from the 8th dimension. 7 to 9 feet tall blue people from very spiritual. They love our planet. They can float. This is what their ship looks like, one of the square ones. Orange people. Up to 10 feet tall. Those are pretty tall. They're a galaxy far, far away. They love our bread. Alright, 6 feet tall. Always around water. These are the worm people, 12th dimensional beings. Continuing on, what else we have? Green glowing people, they float off ground. The snake people. 6 feet tall. This is 3 fingers, not good. Alright, snake people. So their ship. Let's see, praying mantis people, 6 to 7 feet tall. Not good. They love our bread. Reptilians. Not good people. From planet Draco. We got 2 kinds of ships there. Looks like cat people. Apparently we make good bread down here on Earth because they all seem to love our bread. These are cat people, 9 to 12 feet tall. Got monster looting people from 10th dimensions. We have 4 feet tall frog people, 11th dimension. These are the hairy people, 8 feet tall, 6 fingers, ugly but friendly. Have an orange glow around their body. These are hybrid, half human, half alien, cannot blink, 4 to 6 feet tall. What do we have here? We have Egyptian type people from the galaxy far, far away, watching us for years, long noses. This is the busted beak people, very intelligent, very nice, 8 to 10 feet tall from the 8th dimension. The spacesuit people likes our planet a lot. There's light flashes inside helmet while they are talking to you, 6 to 9 feet tall. It's like little elf type people. Little dwarf people, 7th and 8th dimensions, have bases here, live underground and in the trees on their planet. Egg-shaped ships. Heard about the egg-shaped ships. Silver metallic people from another galaxy. Star people with black pants and X-vest, hood and cape. Little white pale humanoids, 4 feet tall, childlike. 6 to 7 feet tall ant people, looks like, yeah, from other dimensions. Angels. Star people with wings from another galaxy. Must be around water and sunlight. Highly intelligent. They say they are our protectors, watching over us for years. Blue glow around people on our ship. What do we have here? 3-inch people from 5th to 7th dimensions. They make crop circles. Seen many times. And then this looks like the Greys. Greys from planet Serpo. Elephant people, looks like. Elephant people, 10 feet tall, highly intelligent, special friends. 14th dimension. Nordics. 5 to 7 feet tall, very beautiful, very strong, don't blink, a lot like us. They love our bread and our donuts. This looks like, Orion Greys. 4 to 7 feet tall, from other dimensions, not good. The Traveler. Seahorse people. There you have it. There's a whole lot of aliens that are there. 32 of them to be exact. And one last piece here today. This is an upcoming notice about a UFO conference, the Vancouver UFO conference coming up. It says, what is it anticipated as the most exciting ufology conference of the year? Countdown to Contact 2014 will feature leading researchers, contactees, and authors focus on extraterrestrials, the dimensional ecology of the omniverse and consciousness. Cutting-edge information about the most important story never told will be presented on Saturday, September 13th from 9:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Sheraton Vancouver Guilford Hotel. Featured speakers of this event include General De Stefano, Ph.D., Samantha Mowat, Charles William Vanderbilt, and John Enoch. Alright, links all available here so you can check it out. That's coming up in September, so not too far away. Let's just see here. Let's check for dates. Tickets are available for the one-day event. Okay. Alright, so that's coming up next month, and there you go. That is September 13th is the date of that event. So there you go. That's our UFO news for today. I'll be right back. We shall continue on with more information. Here we go.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
continuing on. So, Wednesdays I like to talk about Atlantis, or I've been talking about Atlantis. So I'm going to continue on with this. I've got a site I want to bring up to you before we continue on with the book. This is a site, Hasburger.com, the lost continent of Atlantis and Azores. One of the most mysterious legends handed down by the ancient world is the tale of Atlantis. Tradition places Atlantis somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, 11,000 years in the past. In 360 BC, Plato wrote the Timaeus and the Critias, which told of Atlantis through Solon, who had traveled to Egypt. In Plato's Timaeus, you will find a brief overview of Solon's encounter with the Egyptian priests. However, Plato's Critias describes Atlantis in much greater detail. The Critias tells us that Poseidon, god of the sea, was granted the realm of Atlantis when the gods divided the earth amongst themselves. There he created a palace for his love, a mortal woman named Cleito. On the top of the hill in the center of the island, a great temple was constructed to honor Poseidon. Consisting of several land masses, the Atlantis continent was located in the Atlantic, west of Gibraltar. It was said to have been a paradise, hosting a highly developed civilization. Civil prejudice, greed, and power contributed to the downfall of the empire. Zeus called for a meeting of the gods to punish Atlantis. Here the story ends. Whether the author chose to end the story here, or perhaps the last pages were lost to antiquity, we'll never know. It is presumed from Timaeus, the verdict of the gods caused the Atlantic Ocean to submerge the continent beneath the surface. Right. And so, this gets more into ideas of where it might be, what it's about, and even gets into the song that Donovan sang about the Atlantis, the continent of Atlantis was an island which lay before the great flood in an area we now call the Atlantic Ocean. So great an area of land that from her western shores those beautiful sailors journeyed to the South and North Americans with ease in their ships with painted sails. Right, very interesting indeed. Image of what Atlantis looked like, the concept of what it looked like. Alright, now I'm going to move from here. Here's another article, another bit of information. This is Atlantis, the lost continent finally found. We present in these pages and in our recently released book a novel theory on Atlantis that will, if accepted, cause a revolution in the fields of archaeology and human sciences, rendering them fit for the encroaching millennium. Atlantis was never found because we've all been looking in the wrong places. Realizing, we started to look for the spot where the entire sunken continent could be hiding itself. Geology afforded the correct, irrefutable answer. Down under the South China Sea, that is where that region is, that we now call Indonesia. The rest followed quite naturally, and in fact far more serendipitously than we ourselves could ever imagine beforehand. In this site, we will learn about the true history of Atlantis. From the tantalizing details we just kept reading, and you will see we have also found as a surplus the Garden of Eden, the island of Avalon, the Garden of the Hesperides, the hideout of the New Jerusalem, the new location of Troy and of Lanka, as well as the Holy Land and Paradise that has been promised us from the dawn of time. Yes, Atlantis is rising from the waves, bright as the phoenix and clean and virginal as the Venus of Botticelli. Says Frank J. Hoff, speaking in the Nature of Reality Radio with host Andrew Fisher on behalf of Professor Aseo Nuez dos Santos, PhD, on Friday, April 18th, 2014. Let's see. His book, Atlantis, the Lost Continent, finally found. So anyway, you get the idea of what this is about here. Here's a whole website, the book, what it's about. Atlantis, the Lost Continent, finally found, released in August 2005 as Professor Asayo's latest work, following the same line of thought that made his homonymous website become the most popular in the category, having received more than 2.5 million visits. Alright, so the link's available so you can investigate this. I want to jump from here back to our reading from Go back here to the index. This is one of the important books on the subject, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World by Ignatius Donnelly. So I've been reading portions of it on Wednesdays. Today I'm going to jump over here to the probabilities of Plato's story. So you heard about his story and what it's about. Let's look into the reality of it here, the probability. There's nothing improbable in this narrative, so far as it describes a great, rich, cultured, and educated people. Almost every part of Plato's story can be paralleled by descriptions of the people of Egypt, of Peru. In fact, in some respects, Plato's account of Atlantis falls short of Herodotus' description of the grandeur of Egypt, or Prescott's picture of the picture and of wealth and civilization of Peru. For instance, Prescott, in his conquest of Peru, says, "The most renowned of the Peruvian temples, the pride of the capital and the wonder of the empire, was at Cusco, where under the munificence of successive sovereigns, it had become so encircled that it received the name Cornicancha, or the place of gold. The interior of the temple was literally a mine of gold. On the western wall was emblazoned a representation of the deity, consisting of a human countenance looking forth from an innumerable rays of light, which emanated from it in every direction, in the same manner as the sun is often personified with us. The figure was engraved on a massive plate of gold, of enormous dimensions, thickly powdered with emeralds and precious stones. The walls and the ceilings were everywhere encrusted with gold ornaments. Every part of the interior of the temple glowed in burnished plates and studs of the precious metals. The cornices were of the same material. There are in Plato's narrative no marvels, no myths, no tales of gods, gorgons, hobgoblins, or giants. It is a plain and reasonable history of a people who built temples, ships, canals, and who lived by agriculture and commerce, who in pursuit of trade reached out to all countries around them. The early history of the most nations began with the gods and the demons. Well, here we have nothing of the kind. We see an immigrant enter the country, marry one of the native women, and settle down. In time, a great nation grows up around him. It reminds one of the information given by the Egyptian priest to Herodotus. During the space of 11,340 years, they assert, says Herodotus, that no divinity has appeared in human shape. They absolutely denied the possibility of human beings' descent from God. If Plato had sought to draw from his imagination a wonderful and pleasing story, we should not have had so plain and reasonable a narrative. He would have given us a history of the legends of the Greek mythology, full of adventures of gods and goddesses, nymphs, fauns, and satyrs. Neither is there any evidence for the face of this history that Plato sought to convey in a moral or political lesson, in the guise of a fable, as did Bacon in the New Atlantis, or More in the Kingdom of Nowhere. There is no ideal republic delineated here. It is a straightforward, reasonable history of a people ruled over by their kings, living and progressing as other nations have lived and progressed since their day. Plato says that in Atlantis there was a great and wonderful empire, which aggressed wantonly against the whole of Europe and Asia, thus testifying the extent of its dominion. It not only subjugated Africa as far as Egypt, and Europe as far as Italy, but it ruled as well over parts of the continent, to wit, the opposite continent of America, which surrounds the true ocean. Those parts of America over which it ruled were, as we will show hereafter, Central America, Peru, and the valley of the Mississippi, occupied by the mound builders. Moreover, he tells us that the vast power was gathered into one, that is to say, from Egypt to Peru, it was one consolidated empire. We will see hereafter that the legends of the Hindus as to the Divanat Hushu distinctly referred to the vast empire which covered the whole of the known world. Another corroboration of the truth of Plato's narrative is to be found in the fact that the Azores, black lava rocks, and rocks red and white in color, are now found. He says that they were built with red, white, and black stone. Sir C. Weil Thomas describes a narrow neck of land between Fayal and Monte Digea, called Monte Quenenda, the burnt mountain, as follows. It is formed partly of stratified tufa of each of a large cavity in the center which must have been ejected as volcanic bombs in the glorious display of fireworks at some period beyond the records of Aquarian history, but late into the geological annals of the island. He also describes immense walls of black volcanic rock on the island. The plains of Atlantis, Plato tells us, had been cultivated during many ages by many generations of kings. If, as we believe, agriculture, the domestication of the horse, ox, sheep, goat, and bog, and the discovery or development of wheat, oats, rye, and barley originated in this region, then this language of Plato in reference to the many ages and the successive generation of kings accords with the great periods of time which were necessary to bring man from a savage to a civilized condition. In the great ditch surrounding the whole land, like a circle, into which streams flowed down from the mountains, we probably see the original of the four rivers of paradise, and the emblem of the cross surrounded by a circle, which we will now show hereafter, was from the earliest part of pre-Christian ages accepted as the emblem of the Garden of Eden. We know that Plato did not invent the names of Poseidon, for the worship of Poseidon was universal in the earliest ages of Europe. Poseidon worship seemed to have been a peculiarity of all of the colonies previous to the time of Sidon. The worship was carried to Spain and in northern Africa, but most abundantly to Italy, to many of the islands, and to the regions around the Aegean Sea, also to Thrace. Poseidon, or Neptune, is represented in Greek mythology as a sea god, but he is figured as standing in a war chariot drawn by horses. The association of the horse, a land animal, with the sea god is inexplicable, except with the light given by Plato. Poseidon was a sea god because he ruled over the land, a great land in the sea, and was a national god of the maritime people. He is associated with horses because in Atlantis the horse was first domesticated, and as Plato shows, the Atlanteans had a great race horses for the development of speed in horses, and Poseidon is represented as standing in a war chariot because doubtless wheeled vehicles were first invented by the same people who tamed the horse, and they transmitted these war chariots to the descendants from the Egypt to Britain. We know that the horses were the favorite objects chosen for the sacrifice to Poseidon by the nations of antiquity within the historical period. They were killed and then cast into the sea from high precipices. The religious horse feasts of the pagan Scandinavians were a survival of Poseidon worship, and once privileged along all the coast of Europe, they continued in the conversion of all the people to Christianity and were suppressed by the church with great difficulty. We find in Plato's narratives the names of some of the Phoenician deities among the kings of Atlantis. Where did the Greek Plato get these names if the story is a fable? Does Plato, in speaking of the fruits having a hard rind, affording drinks and meats and ointments, refer to the coconut nut? Again, Plato tells us that Atlantis was abound in both cold and hot springs. How did he come to hit upon the hot springs if he was drawing a picture from his imagination? It is a singular confirmation of his story that hot springs abound in the Azores, which are the surviving fragments of Atlantis, and an experience wider than any possessed by Plato has taught scientific men that hot springs are a common feature of regions subject to volcanic convulsions. Plato tells us that the whole country was very lofty and precipitous on the side of the sea, but that the country immediately about the surrounding the city was a level plain itself surrounded by mountains, which descended towards the sea. One has to look at the profile of the Dolphin's Ridge as revealed by the deep sea soundings of the Challenger given to the frontispiece of this volume to see that this faithful description of that precipitous elevation. The surrounding mountains which sheltered the plain from the north are represented in the present towering peaks of the Azores. Plato tells us that the destruction of Atlantis filled the sea with mud, interfered with navigation. For thousands of years, the ancients believed the Atlantic Ocean to be a muddy, shallow, dark, and misty sea. The three-pronged scepter or trident of Poseidon reappears constantly in ancient history. We find it in the hands of the Hindu gods and at the base of the religious beliefs of antiquity. Among the numerals of the sacred 3 has ever been considered the mark of perfection. It was therefore exclusively ascribed to the supreme deity or to its earthly representative, a king, emperor, or any sovereign. For this reason, triple emblems of various spheres are found on the bench belts, neckties, and encircling fixtures, as can be seen on the works of ancient art in Yucatan, Guatemala, Chiapas, Mexico, etc., wherever the object has reference to divine supremacy. We're reminded of the tiara and the triple round of sovereignty. In the same manner, the 10 kings of Atlantis are perpetuated in all ancient traditions. And it goes on and on and on. So, check it out, read through the book, read the rest of this chapter. You know, it's very, a lot of information that came out of there. It's very important and it's relevant to our time period. We go through lessons in life. Here we are again, and for those who remember and can think back to the times of Atlantis because you remember having had a lifetime there, you can remember that there was greed and there was corruption that crept in. You may remember that there were some of the same problems we're dealing with right now. It's almost as if we're watching history repeat itself. The question that keeps coming to my mind and to the mind of others is, are we going to move past our problems? Are we going to rise above all of the challenges, or are we going to sink again? It's a metaphorical idea, but maybe it's a physical one as well. We simply need to look at the issues and the problems that we're dealing with because they're not new. And we shouldn't be caught up in all of these issues. We're getting tripped up by the same problems over and over again. From racism to greed to anger to hatred to war. Same things over and over. But we're smart enough to know better. So isn't it time that we stop being fooled? It would be nice. It would certainly be very, very nice. Here's an article in 5D. It's called, "What Does the Law of One Harvest Really Mean?" Well, we're going to find out right now. This is from Greg Prescott, written in 5D. There's a big difference between being one with Source versus being harvested like an ear of corn in order to bring yourself to the next level of spiritual progression. According to the Law of One, Ra is claimed to be from the confederation of planets in the service of the infinite creator, and the books give an outline of a New Age description of evolution of consciousness. The concept of the soul, spirit, essence is said to be reincarnating throughout different levels or densities. First density being mineral consciousness, second density being vegetable consciousness and animal consciousness, and third density being human life, self-reflective consciousness. The book argues that the goal of the soul is to polarize in one of two different directions. Positive polarization, labeled as service to others, through identifying with others empathically, or negative polarization, labeled as service to self, through separating the self from others. Souls are said to harvest and to proceed to the next level once they are properly polarized. Ultimately, there should be two laws. Love everyone and respect everything. I firmly believe the Law of One was channeled with honest intent by Carla Ruckert. As the archons who keep us living in fear, we're using Carla as a host for the harvesting of souls. Much of the information is quite fascinating, but once the rose-colored glasses are removed, then what are we really seeing? Service to self versus service to others. Many people within this genre may feel guilty about spending time on yourself versus giving time and energy to others, but there is an unhealthy point of view. Try to think of your spiritual growth as being part of a team sport like bowling. Each person tries to do their best while helping the team. Ultimately, we should begin with loving ourselves and allowing that light to flow outwards. Additionally, there should be a balance between service to self versus service to others. So don't feel badly if you're meditating and trying to better yourself, because in the end, everyone wins. As above, so below. In this fractured universe, the premise of as above, so below is a prime tenet. While it can also be interpreted as within, so without, it can additionally be viewed as long as there is someone above you, gods, angels, archons, presidents, prime ministers, etc., there will always be people below you. Jesus, Yahweh, Yeshua, angels, vice presidents. We are equals with the infinite creator, souls who stand in the light of truth and love. This is all part of a hierarchy, if you break up the word hierarchy, hierarchy, a system designed to keep us enslaved through subservience, control, and conformity. We are taught that we need this current system in order to prevent chaos, yet those who are above us know how to control the masses through fear. Even at the highest level of Freemasonry, their motto is Ordo ab chao, which means order out of chaos. In an ideal society, order would emanate from truth and love, but as we've seen, everything has been turned backwards and upside down. By acquiescing to the harvest and being subordinate to the higher forms of consciousness, we are still trapped within a system of control and dominance, albeit a more socially acceptable one that we already live in. The question is, what is the trade-off, and what does a true harvest really mean? Granted, there are benevolent extraterrestrials who want to see us succeed as a global community, but they must respect our free will and are not supposed to physically interfere with our progressions. Yet in this corrupted, fractured universe, many universal laws have been cast aside, as we have been tricked time and time again by entering into systems of reincarnation, where our souls are recycled back into the matrix in order for those to feed off our fears to be nourished. It was never supposed to be like this. In certain situations, a hierarchy type program would be needed, such as the relationships between the parents and the teachers, and students, or even with pets and their owners. But in most cases, with the exception of pets, the learner would become the teacher. In a traditional hierarchical system, the intention is forced through subservience, control, and conformity. The difference between these relationships and the traditional hierarchical system is the energy of love behind the intention, which is to help others become all that they are capable of being, while respecting the strengths and perceived weaknesses. Ideal, all systems of hierarchy would be eliminated and replaced with various forms of education and facilities to the learner's needs. So who will be harvested? The Law of One says, and the question was asked, am I to understand that the harvest will occur in the year 2011, or will it be spread? Ra says, I am Ra. This is an approximation. We have stated that we have difficulty with our time-space. This is an appropriate, probable time-space nexus for harvest. Those who are not in incarnation at this time will be included in the harvest. According to David Wilcock, Scott Mandelecker and I figured out that the Law of One really said, within its own system, is all are harvested regardless of progress. The question is where you go once you pop through the worldwide quantum leap. Do you hang out in the astral planes for 100, 150 years and holographically recreate what you already had, or do you start climbing the staircase of ascension? At that point, you have a choice. Again, all are harvested regardless of progress. When the Earth moves out of 3D vibrations at the end of a cycle, a discontinuous event, Ra's answer is very important, because once we know when the planet has moved through the useful part of the third dimension, then we also know when we all are harvested regardless of progress. All right, we got more to the article here. And we come to the very end. It says, please keep in mind you are much more powerful than you know. Never give away your sovereign power to anyone, especially those who do not stand in the light of love and truth. In this writer's opinion, amazing days are ahead. My decision, if there's a harvest, you can count me out. If you were given the choice, would you want to be part of the harvest? If so, why? If not, comment below. You know, this is a good question. It's a question a lot of souls are asking, because we came here to help. And at the moment when it's time to help, is that the time to jump ship? To say, okay, we're out of here? Seems almost counterproductive to the mission, because the mission is to be down here to help, which means that there's going to be some tough times, and we've got to put on our armor and our spiritual armor, and we need to be here in the midst of all of this to help as many souls as possible, because there's more souls that are in need of help, and so we need to be helping them. And if the ones who came here to help are disappearing and going away first chance they get, well, then what was the purpose of even coming down in the first place? So this harvesting, I think, is very important for us to understand and look at all of the different possibilities of change. Basically, it seems to be all connected in this change we're making from one-dimensional reality to the other. Some are going to get stuck, some aren't going to move forward, but others will. And there needs to be those who are going to assist with this process. It's like the separating of the wheat from the chaff. It's with all of these lessons in life that we keep asking ourselves, haven't we evolved past them? Are we still stuck in the same lessons? Well, maybe we separate. Maybe those who rise above and are ready to not be stuck anymore pull apart. And those who choose to be stuck, they get stuck. Because why should all of those who are ready to move forward, ready to evolve in conscience, why should they all be subject to being pulled down by those who don't wish to evolve? You know, it's not necessary to drag somebody who's not willing to do. Simply need to share the information and try to help out those who want the help. All right, so read the article. It's a good lengthy article. Good job, Greg. And this takes us to our message for today. This is Salusa. Salusa. There we go.
Salusa.
August 15th, 2014, by Mike Quincy.
Salusa.
We are continually working to minimize the effects of attempts by the Dark Ones to greatly eliminate your population. It has been part of their long-term plan, and their ways of doing so are by the introduction of disease and other methods by which they can slowly reduce your numbers. However, for a long period of time we have used our ability and superior knowledge to combat them. So you will understand, dear ones, that we are preventing a catastrophe, thereby allowing you to continue your good work in spreading the light. So do not be fearful of the Dark Ones, as their powers are now very limited, as for karmic reasons we must allow them to exercise a certain amount of free will. Be assured that whatever adverse actions are happening in your world, it is only the final period in which karma is being played out. What appears outwardly tends to create a more fearful situation than actually exists, whereas they will be short-lived and continually monitored by us. Always bear in mind that in the not-too-distant future, you will rise up and enjoy total peace and be free from the attention of the Dark Ones. You are well on the way to establishing a new era of peace, and we thank all of those who have dedicated their lives to bringing it about. We do our part to assist you and guide you where help is needed. We also guard you against interference, although there are times when we have to allow you to be tested. You are the pioneers of a new age and we admire your dedication to your tasks. Soon you will have direct contact with us, and when circumstances permit we will come openly into your midst. It is not that we do not already have contact with you, as we can influence your actions and when you are out of the body during your sleep time. We often meet with you, but to avoid distracting you from your life plan, on most occasions you leave us with no waking memory of it. It is why you often wake refreshed and at ease without realizing the reason for it. You can contact us simply by sending us your thoughts, but do not necessarily expect an immediate response. We cannot always grant your wishes, and even then our response may be different to what you expect. At all levels on Earth work proceeds that is leading to your release from the Dark Ones, who are already weakened by the breakup of their contacts and diminishing resources. They are, however, still able to interfere with your work, but not to the extent that they have done in the past. However, please do not waste your energy by focusing too much on their activities, as we have all matters under control. We do, however, hasten to add that we cannot always go as far as we would wish. Be assured that from our point of view all still proceeds well, and nothing will be allowed to alter the planned outcome. Within a few years we see the possibility of major changes, which will carry mankind forward to start a new period in your lives. Have you ever wondered why sometimes a group of people can be present when an ET spacecraft uncloaks, and yet not everyone can see it? The most likely reason is that the observers are at different levels of vibration. If theirs is not high enough, the eye sensors cannot pick up the objects, and for similar reasons not all people can see ghostly apparitions. The additional drawback of having a low vibration is that it represents a barrier to receiving all kinds of impressions that you might otherwise receive. As time progresses and the vibrations continue to rise, more and more people will awaken to their potential until ascension takes place, when all shall share a higher degree of sensitivity. These are only a few of the changes that are taking place that in the long term will see man become a galactic being of immense power and abilities. So dear ones, you have a marvelous future ahead of you, that will be most enjoyable and exciting as you follow your own choice of evolution. Already some of you are feeling the changes are taking place, and there is no doubt in your minds that major changes are afoot. We reiterate that these are times when there is going to be a parting of the ways, and only those who have sufficiently raised their vibrations will rise up. Be assured that every soul has been given the same opportunities to evolve at whatever pace they choose. Some prefer a slow, deliberate approach, whilst others are prepared to take on a challenge that will speed them forward. However, there are always guides on hand to give you advice based on what they know about you. As you can imagine, many souls are active where you are concerned, and although it may seem that you are often alone, you are in fact always accompanied on your travels. If you remember to acknowledge your unseen helpers and share your thoughts with them, they are more likely to be able to assist you. All is for your experience, and bear in mind that you will have had lives on both sides of the line. It is therefore essential that you allow others their choice of experience, as all is chosen with your spiritual evolution in mind. Furthermore, do not stand in judgment of others, as you will not know their reasons for the choices they have made. Just bear in mind that every soul is concerned with making spiritual progress, and it requires experience of both the positive and negative aspects of life. You are all involved in similar experiences that are part of your life plans, and as nothing happens by chance, take your opportunities to evolve very seriously. I am Salusa from Sirius, and assure you that you are actively involved in your life plan, so that where options exist you can often choose which one you take. When incarnating, you can, for example, choose which family to join, although these are selected for you as giving the opportunities you need to evolve. Some of you will find this hard to believe, but bear in mind that before you incarnate you are aware of the lessons you need to learn. You are beautiful souls evolving to a higher level, and much love goes with you at all times.
Thank you, Salusa.
Very nice message for Salusa. A good reminder about, the change that's going on, the positivity that we need to maintain. So let's go to our meditation. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And just contemplate now as you continue to breathe in and out. Just think about the world around you. Think about the energy of the day. And think about a planet filled with billions of people. And each person that's out there receives this energy of the day. And everybody that receives this energy responds differently to it. Some receive the energy of the day and move along without being affected by it. Others feel the energy of the day and are pushed around like a pinball in a game. And everything in between occurs where people have different opportunities to experience the energy at different levels. And so as we take time to make sure our chakras are clear, and we teach our neighbors and our friends and our family to do the same thing, we see people processing energy differently. We send love throughout the world, and we imagine love going out and just wiping away fear. And as love shines forth, people find themselves experience the energy even different. And pretty soon we have a whole planet filled with people that are feeling the energy, connecting with their higher selves, and making good decisions. And in the good decisions we find that the issues of the world disappear. We find that we're able to rise above the issues of racism, above the issues of greed and anger and hatred and war. We find them to be outdated too worn out, and no longer needed. So we let them all go. And we experienced a new way of feeling the energy, of expanding and appreciating the love, the abundance, the growth, and all of the other things that we would like to have. And we imagine the world as a place of positivity. And we imagine the negativity just drifting away, leaving. We thank it for the lessons that we have learned. And as such, we appreciate our lives much more. So just imagine as you go through the world today, being positive, thinking positive, and sending love and positivity to all of those in the world confused by what is taking place. Just send love and positivity, and let that be enough. So imagine your subconscious mind out on that journey of spreading love and positivity, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you very much. Just keep thinking positive. A lot of craziness in the world. We don't have to get caught up in it. It's just a story. Okay? Powers that be, they're going to try to push their story and their agenda. The medias, they're going to support them to keep that agenda going. It's all connected. But there's billions more of us. And all we have to do is stay positive, and we'll change what they're doing so it won't have any effect on us. That's it, my friends. Keep spreading the love. I love you. Love each other. I'll talk to you later. Peace. I'm out of here.